listening to Holding Court, the podcast. I'm your host, Chris Zimmerman.
Hi, everybody. It's me, your host and guest tonight, Christopher Zimmerman. I was baptized by that name a long time ago in a tiny church. It's wonderful for you all to be here with me tonight. It just means the world to me. I'm just so glad we all could get together like this. It really just shows the bond we all share. And we're going to have a wonderful time. We're really going to have a few laughs, a couple thoughts we'll share and think over. It's going to be darling, dolls. It's going to be darling. It's been a while since I've sat down and talked into a microphone for the purposes of radio or podcasting or even on stage doing comedy. Too long, longer than I'd like to admit. But, like every old horse, we at least can grind me up and make a little glue that I hope will stick me to you. Welcome to Holding Court, the podcast. It's only going to go up from here. So sit down. It's wonderful for you to join me. I have a little cardboard box here. If you need to set anything down, you can. I have one drank beverage and then another fresh beverage that I'm going to drink. But if you don't mind, I could pour a little bit of the fresh beverage into the empty beverage, and you can have that one, and that can be yours. And you can do whatever you want with it. You could have a sip. You could have two. You could just hold on to it and see where it goes. The choice is yours. Not every episode's going to be a special episode, but I'd like to think that this, the first, is a very, very special episode of Holding Court. It's where you, the listener, get to sit down with me, a person, just a guy who's here for you. I just want to talk to you. And I'm glad you're here to listen and you can't say a word back to me. It's just great. This is a rare occurrence in media where one person can just talk and rant in a room at other persons and they can do absolutely nothing about it, no matter how they try. Because we don't take feedback here on Holding Court, and we don't have groups here on Folding Court, and we don't take your questions here on Folding Court. Maybe we should have gone with that for a title self. I think that one got some legs. I think we could have gone somewhere with that. There's plenty of people that fold. It's something that has perhaps a little bit more universality than everything we got so far. I think what we got so far is just a whole lot of confusion. A whole lot of confusion and rubbish. I don't know necessarily how to make heads or tails of it. But we'll do it together, I think. I think so long as you keep listening and not filling my YouTube channel and whatever other platforms this goes on in garbage future times with abuse, epithets, and awful commentary. I think that all of us will have a wonderful time. I pray to Jesus you don't do that, because that would really hurt me. It really hurts me when people say bad things about me and my friends. Yeah, you're listening to Holding Court. Welcome. It's going to be different than this. This is probably the only one of these that'll happen. probably, by which I mean it will only be the only one of these that exist. You are going to have some guests. We're going to have some talk. We're going to have some time. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy like you if you're a guy. But if you're not a guy, I'm like you if you were a guy with a penis, not a vagina. So imagine yourself if you're a woman listening with a penis. I'm just like that. I'm just like you. Out the box without a box. That's what we call improving in the business. It's a highly marketable skill. That's why people fill upright citizens brigades and improvs across the country with unpaid workers just saying words that they think are funny, but often aren't. I'm just like you. Good. Note to self. Put yourself on a pedestal from a completely unearned angle, and slowly, people might believe it. People might believe it. If you say you're a king, who's gonna say otherwise? How do you become a king? You be one. So that's what we're doing. I'm starting to be a king in this little room here. I got a chair. I got the cardboard box. I got the empties. I got some instruments. A couple of my friends from Boston came by the other weekend, and they were recording a podcast in here. It's called Teeny Time with Austin and Joe, but I can't remember. It might be Joe and Austin. No one can seem to keep it straight with those two. I don't think they can tend to keep it straight either. They really work at it, though. I think they do a good job. I could hear them through the floorboards, and I didn't have any resentment when we originally talked, and I was going to get interviewed, too, for this show. What am I, garbage to you people? Hey, you listening to this? What am I, garbage? Come on, we were going to do like 3 or 4 recordings. You did your half-hour cast of just you guys, half hour you guys talking to Dan Hall, and then you're just done. Then you're just done. Got a little tired. You forgot about your host, the guy whose house you were fucking in, the guy who was putting you guys up for the fucking weekend. You forgot that guy? You forgot that guy? That guy was me. I helped you guys, and now this is how you repay me, making me rant to myself alone in a room here as my introductory cast. You couldn't even be here. Couldn't have me on Teeny Time. I thought on the couch. I thought for a bit, what kind of teeny? Because they ask people what kind of martini do they like to drink, because it's teeny time and they have martinis. I thought about what my answer was going to be. I thought about a lot of things that you said might be questions. I thought what I was going to say. But you never made the time to ask. Friends, huh? What are you going to do with friends? Boy. Well, they'll be back. They always come back. Maybe next time they'll come back and ask me, huh? Maybe I'll be one of the lucky ones. Maybe they don't want to space it out all up front. Maybe they wanted like a little buffer, a reliant person that they could turn to at a later date to do a little cast, you know. We'll see. We'll see if this reliant person is available. All right. I was walking down and ran out of Black and Milds, and I need to buy a couple more. Because I was up on the roof writing notepads for the night because I had a panic attack and realized I haven't gone up in a while. So I have to redo this and recommit like John F. Kennedy going to the moon. I'm doing that. Not because it's easy, but because it's hard. And arbitrary deadlines are the best. So here we are. And now we're doing this. Boy, you really could have done a little show prep, Chris. Yeah, those guys had like a paper with a bunch of like topics they were going to talk about written out. I think as I was walking by Black and Milds, the only thing I had was, would communism really be so bad? Like, say Bernie wins and everyone's communist from now on. Is that really the worst thing? Because it's not like everything else is going to disappear. All this madness that we've been built off of since forever, since we diced out the natives from the land and we took it over and we built New Amsterdam and like danced around, had a good time. Let a couple 100 years passed, killed the French, killed the Amsterdamians, and took it over with good Protestant Christian stock. And then we boiled those people in a morass of Catholic ingresses over a couple hundred years. It's all messy. What are we going to ultimately do? But now we got everybody. Everybody's here with me in this tiny room. We're all having a ball. And we're making New York work just one day at a time. Oh boy, this is going to be great listening. I really look forward to hearing back from every single one of you about how much this has meant to you. Our time together, holding court. We like to think of this as we do, because there's me, your host, Chris Zimmerman. We got our intern, Jeannie, over there. She doesn't talk much. And then we got Richard, the production assistant, in the other room. He's nodding with his headphones on. And then we got Kyle, who is kind of like my personal assistant. He's kind of just moving around, flipping wires and switches, making sure that my sound is always really even. And together we're the Holding Court family. And we wanted to build this extra special show for you. Whether you're listening in Quincy, Massachusetts, Abington, Queens, Somerville, Massachusetts, Worcester, Massachusetts, or any other place that I might happen to know people where I could guilt you into watching this recording. Because there's an audio component, and if you're not seeing it, clearly your browser's broken. That's an American beverage I'm drinking. But like people say, you don't give advertisement for free. So it's generic beverage made in America that I'm drinking that's very old and traditional, sort of lager. And I'm drinking it right now because it's cheap and I can buy lots of them. And I'm probably a borderline alcoholic. I only say borderline because I usually don't wake and bake with a glass until the immense liver pains give me the shivers. So, I mean, as long as there's some line of order, I can't really say we're an aulic of any hall. That's what we call a stretch in the business, folks. I've been in the business my entire life. When I was a young man, I started a television show called Starship. It was a television show that was filmed in the sky by the people who would watch my antics. It was written by a man named Charlie Motes. He wrote the show. That was my own Truman Show in a way. I like to delude myself. No, the kayfab's ruined now. Are you happy with yourself, Chris? That was how I got through the days as a child. I just convinced myself that all the world was a television show getting written by some divine prophet. Is there like a difference between the voice where like I talk in one voice and it's the narrator and then the other one's the internal voice? I haven't really gotten that one to unlock yet. But we'll do it together. I can look at the angles on the computer and notice that the microphone was in a slightly wrong place because the volume wasn't right. I'm not really good at audio levels, so every time I talk, my ears shiver like an earthquake is going through the room because they're way too loud, and I'm worried if I take any opportunity to fix it, I'll screw up this whole thing. But what are you gonna do? What a wonderful time we're having all together here. There's going to be interviews. There's going to be music. We're going to have people who do comedy, people who do films, people who do music come on here and do some of their things. Basically, anybody that I can guilt into coming to talk to me for a half hour will be stuck with me for a half hour. I'm saying a half hour because I think that's the only amount of time I can reasonably talk to myself. A half hour. But they might be longer if there's two of me. It could be an hour in that case. I wonder how long I can keep this gimmick up. This sort of introspective, thoughtful voice. It's a countdown, a fuse of sorts. I cough when I turn away from the microphone. Or did I turn away from the microphone because I needed to cough? Causality. That's a religious question. What do you believe, Neil deGrasse Tyson? Where do your children sleep? Where do your children go to school? If that's not gentrification, call me a traveler. I'm a really good improvist, as you can probably guess. I'm a not too shabby conversationalist. I think I've done a handful of interviews that have been pretty good on varying formats that you'll never see unless you go on YouTube and look up Neutered Sounds, my old channel, where this is probably going to go. In which case, you'll see an old show called Joe and Chris. That was a good show. We had a good time. We only did one episode because we recorded 80 and then got tired of editing them and didn't. So we didn't. So that was only one episode. But we're over here now. We're in Brooklyn together. We're all here. Everybody's with me now. It's going to be a wonderful time. There's going to be extravaganzas. We have a coupon deal with Key Foods. And you know what I said about not giving anything away for free? I'm not. We're sponsored by Key Foods and Seatown and Duane Reade and CVS. And that's it. That's it. Rite Aid tried to get in, but I said no. I like to keep it even. 2 supermarkets, 2 pharmacies. It's all I need. I don't like more than that. I need balance. I kind of do have a sort of obsessive angle where I just need things to come in pairs. People come in pairs, like Adam and Steve. Pairs. People belong in pairs. There's always 2 people. 2 single people. They have a hetero or a homosexual partner that they're not admitting to. Everybody comes in those. I cop to it too. Even in the times when I was a single gentleman, we always come in 2. Those are called heterosocial or homosocial relationships. It's okay. We're all learning words today. I think those are real words. If I said it, it's a real word now because it's in recording and you can trust the media. Antibiotic beef is wonderful. People like to demonize it all the time. But that's because they don't give enough thought to just what would happen otherwise if we just let everybody be willy-nitty. Just all this biotic beef about? No. I've met a couple biotics in my day. Didn't like them. If they moved into my neighborhood, they'd ruin the schools. Rent would go up. Just be awful. Couldn't go have a drink anymore. Biotics all about. That's why we have antibiotics. Someone's got to do it. Someone reasonable. Someone with a normal respect for the extent of the law. Someone who says when the job's done, it's done, you know. It's just, you just get the whole collection of a thing that's all the same, and it just needs to be removed. So you remove it all. It's just a genocide, of course, of sorts. It's a genocide of the biotic kind. Oh, Jesus. Now we're getting into heady subjects that we shouldn't get into. We shouldn't because my publicist Jenny's over on the side and she's nodding. Just to stop. Just stop. Stop it. Stop it. She's mouthing that to me. Stop it, please. Stop it. She's got a couple of checks for my electricity bill that she's tearing up in her fingers, letting the little bits of paper fall to the floor. You know, people sometimes describe a person as a wreck, but what makes a thing different than a train wreck, I suppose? I like to think imagination. So, we're all here together right now. Let's just imagine that there's no trains involved tonight. That there's no wrecks involved tonight. That all we had was a bunch of enjoyment. That you sat there and you drank the 3 or 4 sips of beer I poured in your cup, and I drank a couple of my cans, and we all just got along, and it was wonderful. Can you imagine that with me? If you can, we're all imagining it together, and that's what I call the future. So hey, everybody, have fun within the bounds of reason. Pay your taxes, say your prayers, and call your mother. Tell her I sent you. You've been listening to this, our inaugural episode, our 20-minute holding court kickoff. I'm Chris Madden. Have a wonderful day.